I'm 31 years old, and I've always kept to myself. Not because I'm antisocial or anything, I just learned early on that in my family. The quieter you are, the more invisible you become. My name's Josh, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the fallback guy. The one who steps up when no one else will. The one who pays when the bills fall behind. The one who keeps his mouth shut, even when it burns. My younger sister, Megan, on the other hand, she was the golden child. The kind of person who could wreck a car, cry about it, and somehow end up getting a better one the next week. Growing up, I thought she'd grow out of it. I was wrong. Our mom always had this way of defending Megan that made it feel like I was crazy for even pointing out the obvious. She's just sensitive. You're older. You should understand. Megan needs more help than you do. And it didn't stop when we became adults. It just shifted. Megan had 3 failed attempts at community college, a string of boyfriends who borrowed money and vanished, and a lifestyle she couldn't afford but expected others to fund. Through it all, I worked. I kept my head down. I bought a modest condo, paid off my student loans, and landed a decent IT job. Not glamorous, but solid. Then our grandmother passed away. She was the only person in the family who treated me like I mattered. She'd sneak me extra cake at birthdays when no one was looking and send me little handwritten notes even when my own mother forgot my birthday. She owned the old house we grew up in, and while it needed work, it had heart. I visited her there every week, sometimes helping her with tech stuff, sometimes just sitting with her watching reruns. She never said what her will looked like, but I knew she cared about me. I thought maybe she'd want me to have the place. I was wrong again. It was a Thursday when I found out. I was at work, mid-code, when Mom called. "Hey, just wanted to let you know Megan's moving into Grandma's place this weekend," she said casually, like she was informing me about the weather. I froze. "Wait, what?" I asked. "She inherited it," Mom said flatly. "Grandma left it to her. It's better that way, she needs it more than you do." I felt the words like a slap. My hands went cold. "She left it to Megan?" I asked again, needing to hear the words. That's when Mom said it, the line that's still echoing in my head weeks later. "She deserves it. You were always the disappointment anyway." I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even hang up dramatically. I just sat there, letting it sink in. I felt stupid for ever hoping. Stupid for thinking that the years I'd spent quietly helping, paying, fixing, they meant anything. And here's the thing. The house wasn't even in great shape. It needed a new roof, updated plumbing, and the electrical was ancient. For the past year, I've been covering the utilities as a way to help Grandma. She didn't ask, but I knew she struggled. I never told anyone. I just logged in every month and paid. Water, power, internet, trash. I'd even quietly kept it going after she passed, not wanting the place to fall into disrepair while everything got sorted. And now Megan was getting it all. No gratitude. No recognition. Not even a thanks for keeping it afloat until she was ready to move in. That weekend, she moved in with fanfare. She posted a dozen Instagram stories. New chapter. Finally got my dream home. Manifested this. She even held a little housewarming, which I only found out about because one of our cousins sent me a selfie from the kitchen. Megan didn't invite me, of course. Why would she? Still, I did nothing. I kept working, kept my mouth shut. I stopped calling my mom. She didn't notice. Or if she did, she didn't care enough to ask. What she did care about, what Megan cared about, was that the house kept running smoothly. I knew, because about 2 weeks after Megan moved in, I got a text from her out of nowhere. Just one line. "Internet's down. Fix it." No, hi. No punctuation. No acknowledgement that she hadn't spoken to me in months. I didn't reply. The next day, another text. Still no Wi-Fi. Kinda important. I left it unread. Then came the power outage. I guess it never occurred to her that someone had been quietly covering the bills. Or maybe she assumed Grandma prepaid utilities from beyond the grave. Either way, the morning I got that message, I was sipping coffee at my desk and scrolling news, not even thinking about her, when my phone buzzed. "Why's the power off? Fix it now." All caps. No, please. No apology. Just rage. I stared at it for a long minute. Then I put the mug down. My heart wasn't racing, it was calm. Cold. I opened the payment portal I hadn't logged into since the funeral. The balance was past due. Disconnect notice issued. They'd shut it off early that morning. Right on schedule. I still didn't reply. Not yet. That night, she called. I let it go to voicemail. Twice. Then came a third text. "Ugh. I know you're seeing this. Stop being petty. Just fix it. It's your mess anyway." I started typing. then deleted it. Not yet. Let her stew. The next day, another barrage. You're seriously gonna let me freeze in here? This is your fault. MOM says you're being childish. I didn't even dignify that last one. Childish? I paid your bills for months, and now I'm childish because I stopped? At this point, I could feel something building inside me, not anger exactly. More like a tight, steady resolve. I didn't want revenge for the sake of revenge. I just wanted them to see the line they crossed, to realize the weight I'd been carrying all along, and how easily it could vanish when I stopped holding it up. 3 days later, Megan showed up at my condo. I wasn't expecting that. When I opened the door, she was bundled up in a jacket, arms crossed, clearly annoyed. Seriously? You can't just ghost the family like this. I leaned on the doorframe. You mean after you ghosted me for 6 months, inherited Grandma's house, and then barked at me like I'm your tech support? She rolled her eyes. Look, I didn't ask you to pay for anything. If you're gonna act like a martyr, just say so. But you can't just cut it off without warning. I stared at her, amazed at how casually she twisted it. You inherited the house. The bills are yours now. You can figure them out. Oh my God, Josh, she snapped. Do you know how hard it is to even find the login for the utilities? Grandma had everything under different names. I tilted my head. Maybe if you bothered to include me in any part of this, you'd have that info. There was a pause, just a flicker of doubt in her eyes. But then she doubled down, like she always did. Whatever. Just help me get it back on. Then we're even. Even. That word hit like a punch to the gut. I didn't answer. I just stepped back, closed the door, and locked it. That night, I finally replied to her text. Just one line. Not my house. Not my problem. And I left it at that. She didn't text back right away, which surprised me. I half expected another tirade within minutes, maybe a guilt trip or some dramatic speech about how family should be there for each other. But instead, Megan went quiet. Too quiet. It wasn't until 3 days later that I heard from Mom. She called me, which was rare enough on its own, and I let it go to voicemail, expecting a scolding. But the message she left? Josh, I heard what you did. I don't know what's gotten into you, but your sister is suffering in that house. She said there's no power, no heat, and now she can't even do laundry because the water's shut off. You've made your point. Just fix it and we'll forget about this whole tantrum. Tantrum. That's what she called it. The months of quiet financial support. The utilities I paid without a thank you. The sting of being excluded from Grandma's will. The years of being overlooked, dismissed, used. All of it, reduced to a tantrum. I didn't even listen to the rest of the voicemail. The water shut-off notice must have been the final straw for Megan, because later that same night, I got a string of messages. Not from her, from one of our aunts. Aunt Carla, the peacemaker. The one who always understood both sides. Hey, I don't want to get in the middle, but Megan's really struggling right now. She's cold, she's scared, and honestly she's kind of a mess. Please, Josh, whatever happened, this isn't you. Family doesn't do this to each other. That last line made me laugh out loud. Family doesn't do this to each other? What exactly did they think they had done to me for the last 3 decades? I didn't reply. That weekend, I took a quiet little trip out of town. Just 2 days. A cheap cabin, some peace and quiet, no reception. I didn't even bring my laptop. When I got back on Sunday evening and turned my phone back on, I had over 40 notifications. Megan had gone scorched earth. She'd posted a series of now-deleted stories on social media, a video of her sitting in a dark living room, wrapped in blankets, holding a flashlight, with the caption, "Some people will watch you suffer and smile." Another one, a close-up of the shut-off notice on her door, followed by a screenshot of an old message from me last year that said, "Don't worry, I'll always have your back." Then came the DMs, not just from her, but from a few of her friends. Strangers. Trolls, really? One wrote, "Wow, Real man letting his baby sister freeze. Pathetic." Another, "If your grandma knew how you turned out, she'd be ashamed." And then there it was. "Hope the $87 you saved on the electric bill was worth ruining your family." They had no idea. Not a clue about the thousands I'd paid without a word. The ways I bent over backward, trying to hold together a family that never once returned the effort. I didn't respond to them either. Let them think what they want. But Megan didn't stop there. She must have gotten desperate, because the next week, she did something I didn't see coming. She tried to bill me. I got a letter in the mail from some online legal service she clearly didn't understand, with a printout of her utility charges, a demand for reimbursement, and a completely laughable claim that I had Abandoned financial responsibility for the estate. I read it twice just to be sure it wasn't a joke. I texted her one word. No, she didn't like that. That same night, I got a long, rage-fueled text from her that started with, "You heartless fool," and ended with, "I'm done pretending you're even my brother." I just put my phone on Do Not Disturb and went to bed. A few days later, Mom called again. This time, she didn't leave a voicemail. She showed up at my condo. I heard the knock, looked through the peephole, and there she was, coat buttoned to the neck, expression somewhere between angry and hurt. I opened the door a few inches. No words yet. "I don't know who you think you are," she said quietly, "but this isn't how you treat family." I didn't speak. Just waited. "Megan is your sister, Josh. Your only sister. She's alone in that house. And you're playing these games, acting like some kind of victim. But you're not the only one who's been through stuff." "She got the house," I said, finally. "Behind my back. After everything I did. After everything Grandma and I shared. And you told me, you actually said, I was the disappointment." Mom crossed her arms. "I said that because you were acting like one." I let that sink in for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay." She blinked. "Okay. Yeah," I said. "You've made it really clear where I stand. So let's stop pretending we're anything other than what we are." "You're overreacting," she snapped. "It's just a house." "No," I said, finally stepping back to close the door. "It's a pattern." I closed the door gently. The thing is, I thought that would be the end of it. But Megan wasn't done. Not even close. Because that's when she made one last desperate move, and it was so wild, so shameless, so unbelievably entitled that it changed everything. 3 days later, I got an email. Not from Megan. Not from my mom. Not even from her so-called legal service. It was from the Homeowners Association. Apparently, the house Grandma left behind was part of an old, semi-dysfunctional HOA that barely did anything besides mail out holiday newsletters and demand dues for lawn maintenance nobody ever received. I remembered Grandma complaining about it once. She'd said, "They'll charge you to breathe and fine you to blink." I thought she was exaggerating. She wasn't. The email was brief, but jarring. Notice of violation. This property is currently in violation of HOA standards due to lack of power, trash accumulation, and extended uninhabitable conditions. Failure to resolve these issues within 10 business days may result in fines and legal action. Please contact the property owner or their representative immediately to resolve this matter. Attached were 3 photos. One showed the side yard with trash bags piled next to the fence. Another showed Megan's car parked on the lawn, for some reason, and the third was just a blacked-out window with the caption, "Unlit structure after dark. Security concern." I almost laughed. But then the 4th attachment hit me. A CC letter to me, not as the owner, but as the previous account holder responsible for utilities at the address. Apparently, Megan had told the HOA that I was still managing the property. She used my name in an attempt to shift the responsibility onto me. I sat back in my chair, stunned. She hadn't just asked for help. She hadn't just blamed me. She'd actively gone out of her way to try to stick me with a legal mess she caused herself. That changed everything. So I did something I hadn't done since this all started. I made a call. Not to her. To Grandma's old lawyer. He was retired now, but we'd met once at a family function years ago, and his name was still in my contacts. I wasn't sure he'd remember me, but I figured if anyone knew the details of Grandma's will, it'd be him. To my surprise, he picked up. His voice was scratchy but alert, and when I said who I was, he chuckled. "Oh, Josh. Yeah, I remember. You were the one who brought that portable projector and helped your grandma stream murder. She rode in the backyard. She loved that." We talked for a few minutes, and I explained the situation. The sudden inheritance. The utilities. The lie Megan told the HOA. He was quiet for a moment, then asked, "You never saw the will?" "No," I said. "No one ever showed it to me." He sighed. "That figures." I could hear him rustling around papers or maybe a file cabinet. Then he said, "You mind if I call you back in an hour?" Exactly 57 minutes later, my phone rang. "You're not going to believe this," he said. "What?" "She didn't inherit the house." I froze. "What do you mean?" "Your grandmother left it in a trust. Megan was named as a provisional occupant, not the owner. The trust was written to give her temporary access to live there, rent-free, for a year as long as she maintained the property and kept the utilities active. After that, the trust gave full ownership to you." My heart stopped. I didn't say anything for a long moment. Finally, I managed. "You're sure?" "Black and white," he said. I drafted it myself. The original was filed with the county and a copy went to your mom as the executor. If Megan's living there without utilities, she's already breached the terms. If you wanted, you could reclaim the property right now. I leaned back in my chair, head spinning. She lied to everyone. Or maybe Mom lied to her. Maybe they both knew and just figured I'd never find out. Maybe they assumed I'd just keep paying and stay quiet, like always. But not this time. I thanked the lawyer and asked if he could email me a copy of the trust. He did, within the hour. I printed it out. Read it twice. Then I opened a drawer and pulled out the unopened envelope I'd received from Megan's legal service the week before. I slid the trust document inside, added a sticky note that said, "Please read the actual terms," and sealed it. Then I mailed it to the HOA. I waited. 5 days passed. On the 6th day, I got another email from the HOA. Updated owner contact record, Joshua. Thank you for your documentation. Our records have been updated accordingly. A compliance officer will be visiting the property next week. The same day, Megan finally called. I didn't answer. She texted 5 minutes later. Why did the HOA say you own the house? I stared at my phone. Then another message. You knew this? This whole time? You were just waiting to mess me over. And finally, fix this or I'm going to lose everything. I didn't reply. I closed the thread. Took a walk. Thought it over. But the storm was only just beginning. Because by the time the HOA showed up with a clipboard, a warning notice, and a timeline for vacating the property, Megan wasn't just panicking. She was about to do something desperate. Something that would make everything before look like child's play. She didn't go quietly. Of course she didn't. I should have known the moment I got that last all-caps message, "Fix this or I'm going to lose everything," that Megan wasn't just going to back down. She'd never faced real consequences before. Not when she totaled my dad's car at 17. Not when she failed out of school twice. Not when she borrowed $5,000 from me just until next month and then ghosted me for 6. So why would she start now? Still, I hoped, foolishly, that the HOA notice would be the wake-up call she needed. That she'd see the trust documents, realize she'd crossed the line, and maybe, just maybe, pack her things and leave the house before she dug herself any deeper. Instead, she went nuclear. It started with a phone call to my job. I was sitting at my desk, sipping my second coffee, when my manager, Joel, tapped on my cubicle wall. "Hey, there's a woman on the phone for you. Claims she's your sister." Kind of intense. I already felt my stomach drop. I picked up the receiver. "This is Josh. What is your problem?" Megan snapped. No greeting. No pause. Just pure venom. "You want to steal the house from me? Fine. But guess what? You want to play legal games? Two can play." I didn't even respond. Just waited. "You think just because Grandma wrote your name on some piece of paper that you're entitled to everything? After everything I've done for this family," she yelled. I almost laughed. Like what, Megan? Maxing out Mom's card? Ignoring Grandma's calls until the last month of her life? Living off everyone and calling it love? Then she said, "I hope you enjoy your precious house. Because guess what? Genius if I can't have it, and no one can." Then she hung up. For a moment, I just sat there, heart pounding. Something in her voice. It wasn't anger. It was desperation. The kind of desperation that makes people reckless. I had a bad feeling. A very bad feeling. That night, I drove by the house. I hadn't planned to. I didn't want to see it. But something told me I should, just to check. It was past 9 p.m. The neighborhood was dark, cold, silent, until I pulled around the corner and saw the flashing lights. 3 fire trucks, 2 police cruisers, a half-dozen neighbors standing on the sidewalk, wrapped in coats and confusion. And at the center of it all, Grandma's house. My house. Lit orange and red against the night sky. Flames licked the roof. The porch was blackened. Smoke poured from the windows. My stomach turned to stone. I pulled over, got out, stared. One of the officers started waving people back, and I approached, dazed. I think I'm the owner," I said numbly, showing my ID. He took one look and said, "You're Joshua?" I nodded. He let out a sigh and looked toward the house. "You're gonna want to come with me." Inside the cruiser, I gave a quick statement, who I was, that my sister had been staying there temporarily. The officer asked if I'd been by the house earlier that day. "No," I said. "Last time I was here was weeks ago." He nodded grimly. "Then you're gonna want to hear this." Apparently, one of the neighbors had spotted Megan around 6 p.m., dragging boxes out to her car. She looked frantic, panicked, according to them, left in a hurry. And 30 minutes later, smoke was pouring from the second floor. The fire marshal suspected it started in the upstairs bedroom. Space heater. Electrical overload. But there were signs: open windows in 30-degree weather, a half-burned candle on the carpet, an empty gas can under the porch that made things murky. The officer didn't come right out and say it, but the implication was clear: she'd done it on purpose. The next few days were a blur. Insurance. Interviews. Legal paperwork. Thankfully, the fire hadn't destroyed the entire house, but the damage was significant. Waterlogged walls. Collapsed roof beams. Burned out electrical. It wasn't just a cleanup, it was a total good and rebuild job. The adjuster told me I was lucky. The trust had included full homeowner's coverage, thanks to Grandma's meticulous planning. But still, I'd be out of the house for months, maybe longer. And then, just when I thought I'd seen the worst of it, Megan tried to sue me. Her filing, a sloppy packet of stapled forms she clearly filled out online, accused me of fraudulent misrepresentation of ownership, willful emotional distress, and intentional displacement from residence. It would have been laughable if it wasn't so pathetic. Her own texts, the HOA correspondence, and the trust documents made her case fall apart within minutes of our court date. The judge dismissed her claims so fast it was almost cruel. But the damage, at least to her, was already done. Because while she was fighting me in court, the fire marshal's report was finalized. And once the insurance company saw the word suspicious, they referred it to law enforcement. Megan was arrested 2 weeks later, charged with arson, fraud, and reckless endangerment. Apparently, she'd even taken out a renter's insurance policy the week before the fire and tried to claim that all her belongings, including 3 MacBooks, a 75-inch TV, and $3,000 in handbags, had been destroyed, none of which she even owned. It was all unraveling. My mom called me in tears, not to apologize, to beg me to drop the charges. "She's your sister, Josh," she sobbed. She was desperate. She didn't mean to hurt anyone. "If you let this go, we can put it behind us." I said nothing for a long time. Then, quietly, "Would you say that if she burned the house down with Grandma inside?" Silence. Then a quiet, hollow, "You're cruel." "No," I said. "I'm finally just done being the family scapegoat." And I meant it. Megan took a plea deal. Probation. Restitution. A record that would follow her for years. Mom hasn't spoken to me since. I rebuilt the house. It took 9 months. I worked weekends. Hired contractors when I had to. Did drywall with my own hands. Sanded floors until midnight. I even repainted Grandma's bedroom the way she'd always wanted, pale blue with a little floral trim. And when it was finally done, I moved in. Alone. Quiet. Peaceful. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty, if I miss my family, if I ever think about reaching out. And the truth is, I don't. I've learned that sometimes walking away isn't cruel. It's survival. They handed me ashes, and I built a home. This one, it's mine. No strings. No guilt. No debt owed to people who never saw me. Just quiet. Just peace. Just me. Finally.